Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian aboard the nuclear-powered aircraft carrier USS George Washington, which is conducting the first operational qualifications of naval aviators, both for landing and recovery. And joining us now is Captain Mark Weisgerber, who is stunningly wearing a U.S. Air Force Air Education and Training Command patch, and is also the Vice Wing Commander of the 33rd Fighter Wing.
Correct.
Sir, talk to us a little bit about how a Navy guy becomes the Vice Commander of an Air Force fighter wing.
All right, we'll have to paint you a little story. I am a 26-year Navy pilot. All but one of those years has been as an F-18 pilot for a variety of deployments and commands in the Navy. But in my current role, I am the Vice Commander of 33rd Fighter Wing. 33rd Fighter Wing is located in Eglin Air Force Base, which is where all three services brought the F-35 in to make its debut. The original vision had all three services doing pilot and maintenance training through one joint wing structure. That didn't survive, but some of the billets did, mine being one of them. I am the Vice Commander, and I help the commander of 33rd Fighter Wing, who's Colonel Lance Pilch, work through some of the integration issues with the Navy, as well as other standard Vice Commander duties.
And this is, you guys are operational pilots in this wing, right? And talk to us a little bit about, from your background also now flying the jet, what are some of the differences between the F-18, which you flew in your career, and the F-35 in terms of not only the capabilities of the jet, but to fly it?
Well, both jets are a pleasure to fly, and I'll say just carrier qualified yesterday and finished up this morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was very pleased with the flight control laws that make the pilot workload even less than what I've anticipated or experienced in the past. I wouldn't say it was easy, but for someone with over 850 traps, it felt very comfortable from the very beginning. So that was a pleasant thing to see. With regards to how the airplanes are going to be used, both of them are going to remain vital to the Navy's carrier air wing of the future all the way through late 2030s. But what the F-35 will bring is that stealth capability, as well as a flying information node that we can share with all the rest of the air wing. That's really where the strength is going to be for carrier air wings. Elevator coming down?
Yeah, they're coming down. We're waiting for the elevator to bring the airplane down, and so that's the reason why we're looking over there. It's not like there's something special going on. There is a tractor that's getting ready to pull the airplane.
BFA 101 F-35C coming down on that elevator in just a couple of minutes. So.
From the standpoint of from the qualification standpoint. The Magic Carpet system is something which is organic to the F-35. It's being fitted onto the ENF's F-18s as well. What kind of a step change is that in terms of recovering the aircraft on the ship?
Well, the big thing that's immediately obvious is the pilot workload has gone down quite a bit. Instead of having to anticipate and use your experience level to sort of read the conditions behind the aircraft carrier in terms of the airflow, et cetera, really the airplane does a lot of that work for you. So the pilot still has to get the airplane into the right piece of sky to start with, but so far as the corrections in maintaining or nulling out glide slope deviations, it's a little bit simpler. And that's going to equate probably, we hope, to ultimately being able to spend a greater portion of our training dollar on combat training instead of practicing coming off and on the aircraft carrier. Another thing that it could probably do in the future, if it pans out the way that we all hope it does, is because we should be able to get aboard even more reliably than we do today, our requirement for tanking in case somebody gets into a position where they've missed the wire a couple times and need to get more fuel. I think our boarding rate will be even higher than it has been in the past, and that's the hope with Magic Carpet and Delta Flight Path.
With all of you guys all in the same place at Eglin, what are sort of the lessons you're learning? What are lessons you're learning from the Air Force? What's the Air Force learning from the Navy? What are you guys learning from the Marines?
It is a great environment, great opportunity for us to observe how each other does business. One of the things about the Air Force and the Navy is we have more in common than we have separate, but it's really a matter of where we fight. Just had the 33rd Fighter Wing commander out here yesterday for his first debut on an aircraft carrier to see where the Navy fights. They fight from austere air bases in some established conditions. We fight from the aircraft carrier. But the tactics that we'll use will be very similar, and we'll be in the fight together. So the more that we interact today with the junior officers that are just getting involved in the F-35, those are the same officers, either Air Force or Navy officers, that will be making decisions on how we integrate in the future, whether in their tour in the Pentagon or when they're senior leaders. So we're setting the conditions now for success for many decades with this airplane.
The U.S. Air Force has had decades of stealth operation experience. That's new to the Navy. How as a naval aviator, how are you thinking differently and will have to fight differently to take maximum advantage of this medium that the other service just has had decades of experience with?
That's very true. They are the lead on utilizing stealth. We're learning a lot by watching how they operate, but not just operationally, but in the maintenance field. We have to figure out how to keep the stealth characteristics of the F-35 up to snuff out here on the aircraft carrier. Much more difficult environment to do it in terms of the amount of space available, the amount of time available, and the amount of people available to do that. So we're trying to get the best practices from them, watching how they do low observable maintenance, and carrying those lessons forward out to the carrier environment.
What are some things special you'll have to do here, because this is a very, very dirty environment. It's very compressed. When you're in the Gulf, things get coatings of sand on it.
Right.
You know, you guys don't have, you obviously try to keep the airplanes as clean as possible, but you may not be able to see the airplane, but you could see certainly the dirt, or you'll have a reflection or something from a low observable standpoint. What are some ways you have to think about operating these aircraft off of ship to maintain that high level of RCS, which is key to the success of the platform?
Well, we get a lot of help from the Alice computer system that helps maintain the logistics and capability of this aircraft. One of the modules does measure the current low observable characteristics of the airplane, and when there is a flaw or some sort of blemish that has occurred, we can map that blemish and then feed it into the computer and find out how that would affect the overall capability of the airplane. And so long as we're above the threshold, we still consider the airplane to be fully operational for all missions. Once it goes below that threshold, then we got to make a decision whether we want to try to fix that out here on the carrier, wait till we get back. But we will absolutely have some organic capability out here on the carrier to fix those blemishes.
Sir, thanks very much for joining us, and best of luck at Eglin.
Thank you very much.